Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. Obviously, kind of stinks we're not in school right now, but we will be back soon enough. Hopefully, we are. Hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. I'm excited to hear back, see what you guys did, and what you guys were up to. So, I just want to go over some vocab terms for you today, and obviously the notes, and that's really it. I have a graphic organizer that I'm going to attach to the assignment for today that you can utilize to help you with the assignment. I think that would be obviously beneficial for you and help you understand some of these perspectives to sociology that maybe you never heard of before. So, with that being said, there are some parts on that graphic organizer that you can edit. You can put in a few keynotes to help you understand a little bit more in detail. And for the questions at the bottom, please check those out. Look at them. I think it's important that you know some of these questions. Maybe you will see them on an assessment or a quiz, something like that. So I just wanted to provide that to you to make sure that you had them. And it's obviously something to think about. So, real quick, here are the terms for today. We got functionalist perspective, do soc, conflicts perspective, to soc, and then symbolic internationalist or interactionist perspective, to soc. So I'll let you guys work on those three terms. If you want to, you can pause the video. I'm just going to move on. So obviously, you can get that information. You can work on other assignments. I understand there's a lot of classes you guys got to stay up to date with. So I'm going to let you pause the video if need be, but if not, I'll move on. All right, so moving on here today. We're going to get into the origins of sociology. I know I talked about I mentioned them times before and how really sociology came about. And I just want to talk about a few ideas of where sociology emerged and certain perspectives, certain lenses we can look through to understand sociology a little bit more in detail. So, real quick, we went over the sociological imagination. You guys did a really good job on your writings. I was glad to, obviously read over those, see what maybe your understanding of with the Teenage Wasteland article. And with that being said, I'm glad we could discuss it. I know we didn't have everybody in class, but for the most part, it was a good discussion. Again, I like to do that in my courses. I think it's important that we talk about certain articles and we can relate it back to the information. All right, so real quick, the origins of sociology. So with that, we mentioned a lot of times about where this originated, where this came from, and where this perspective on society as a whole came about. With sociology, emerged right around the same time as psychology. So if you have my psych course, very similar as a respected social science. Again, many people refer to sociology and the understandings of society way back to even Egyptian time, cavemen, and how they obviously wrote things down in their caves. Obviously hieroglyphics, you name it. So there are many mentions to the study of society, human nature, dating back to even the times of the Egyptians, even before with cavemen. So, but as a respected social science, sociology is still pretty young. So social change, really, that's how we decided to look at sociology as a whole. And yeah, you can argue, I mean, throughout medieval time, the Middle Ages, how society changed to understand, with absolute monarchies, how people fit within a feudal pyramid. I know you guys know of that. I know, I'm sure you heard of the feudal pyramid before with the king at the top. You have the nobility, the knights, the peasants, so on and so forth. But as a social science and the understanding of this idea of sociology really didn't emerge until the 1850s, the early 1800s, when industrialization was taking hold all across really the Western world, the modern world. So European countries and moving over to the United States. So as society was changing, as people were obviously moving into these classifications, especially, we'll talk about Karl Marx here soon and his idea with the conflict theory and how economic statuses and how capitalism kind of took society and threw it up on top of its head, and how many of these industrial giants really controlled most of the wealth, and how 90%, maybe even a little bit more than 90% of the population in these few countries that were going through industrialization, they needed to come together and obviously push off some of these wealthy individuals that controlled society as a whole. Also, science. Okay, so there are three stages there that are listed. But for the most part, science is how that transition to sociology, how we can study our society a little bit more in detail, and how we can apply evidence, use evidence, apply research. Has always already been designed and developed to apply it to understand it at a societal level. So positivism is a way of understanding, in this case, sociology, by using evidence, by using, let's say, the global perspective. We talked about many instances, many examples, a lot of research already representing the global societies, other societies around the world, and resembling it to, let's say, an individual basis, right? Which we did with the sociological imagination we talked about with the teenage wasteland, or with Emil Durkheim, right? Suicide rates across the world, and resembling it to rural areas and urban areas. And I know we talked about it and resemble it from states all across the United States, and really detailing and solidifying that idea of these urban areas maybe have lower suicidal rates because people are closer together. They can form groups and kind of discuss through some of these issues in their daily life. And then gender and race. So, what really pushes society maybe to come together, fight for social justice, fight for change in their lives, and how these factors play a role in the way we view societal changes, grievances, issues, problems, and maybe analyze it, right? Let's use evidence to try to push our understanding of, let's say, differences. All right, so sociological theory, statement of how and why facts are related. Okay, that's what a theory is, right? If you took me for psychology, you have that. I'm sure many science courses that you took, you already know what a hypothesis is, what a theory is. And with we're just trying to explain social behavior to the real world. And with theoretical paradigms, I want you guys to understand these three major approaches. The first one I want to talk about really is social conflict. So social conflict is viewed more on a macro level. So when you ever hear the word macro level, you're looking at a, let's say, an overarching, let's say, discussion, problem, issue. Maybe it's an accomplishment, who knows? But a viewpoint and an overall arching figure at a societal standpoint. Okay, you're looking more of at a worldview of things. All right, so with the functional approach, or sorry, conflict approach, this was really developed and understood by Karl Marx, and Karl Marx kind of brought it and related it to the capitalist society, capitalist societies forming all across these industrial areas, all across Europe and even in the United States, and how the social class should come up against and fight these capitalist business owners. There's more of a population in the working class, and because they're going through struggles, some grievances, issues, that they should come together and fight, and maybe have some sort of wealth distribution amongst the people and the business owners. So it really was a working class versus, let's say, business owner mentality, the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat. So that is a conflict theory that I'd like you guys to know. Again, at a macro level, at a global level, okay, not just at an individualistic level. So again, it could be applied to many different things, not just, let's say, an economic factor. Okay, could be a political, could be a religious factor that is bringing about a conflict in society. But that's always a great example, using Karl Marx and this idea and him pushing communism around the world. well, this idea of communism, that eventually capitalism will fail. That's what his belief was. Okay. All right. Functionalist approach. So, with a functionalist approach perspective to sociology, it's really how many of these different systems in that are in place in society work together, and how they come together to help maybe seek an advantage for individuals in that society. So again, another macro level observation, a perspective. So we're looking at it as a, let's say, as a whole societal issue. Okay, we're not just focused on one individual with this perspective. Okay, and many people explain this through, and sociologists explain this through systems, and how this might be systematically affecting people all across, let's say, a country, an area, a community, whatever it might be. And many people relate education. Some people might relate other factors like industry, okay, to this functional approach. So you're looking at the systems that are already established, that are in place in society. Education is a great system that you can analyze and how it might affect society as a whole, okay, or maybe a group of people in that society, and reflect it on how maybe we can try to seek some advantages for a group of people in that society with this certain system. Again, I'm using education as an example. Okay, you can use the business level. Okay, you can use entertainment, whatever have you. All right, and then finally, the last perspective I wanted to go over is a symbolic interaction perspective, and that is at a micro level. So when you think about it, micro, you're looking through a magnifying glass at this, right? You're looking at an individual basis. So you're trying to understand how the individual fits into, let's say, society. So how we interact with people that shape our understanding of what society is. So again, functional approach, you're looking at a macro level societal issue. Again, with systems that are already in place, functions that are already placed in society. I gave education as a great example. Conflict, so macro level. So you're looking at conflicts that are occurring that are pushing for a better understanding of society. So Karl Marx is a good example in how he viewed this working class versus business owner mentality, right? The proletariat versus the bourgeoisie. So eventually we'll understand society a little bit more with conflicts, with issues. And then symbolic interaction, how we understand symbols, how we understand relationships, interactions at an individual level, so a micro level. Okay. And make sure you guys remember those three main perspectives. They're very, very important. When you look at sociology, they break it down into these three different perspectives to understand this social science a little bit better, right? So again, I just I just went through this at the macro level, the micro level. Okay, these complex systems in the functionalistic approach. Okay, conflict approach. You know how there's certain issues, grievances, conflicts that are occurring at the societal level. And then that's pretty much it. I'll have you guys work on these famous sociologists assignment tomorrow. But real quick, here is kind of the assignment that I have for you today. It's really not much of an assignment. It's just key information, additional notes that can help you understand these perspectives a little bit more in detail. Okay, maybe I missed an example that you can include. I know there's many examples that I don't talk about that you could utilize to help you understand it a little bit better. And then here are the questions at the bottom that I'd like you to glance over. I'd like you to look at. If you want to, you can write down some of your answers. We're going to discuss them in class if you'd like to. Hopefully we're in class tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, reach out to me. Email me. Maybe I can set up a Zoom with you. But for the most part, on these virtual learning days, I'll just record the lesson, have it there for you. And yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to me. All right, guys, that's really all I have for today. I hope you're doing well. Take care. Hopefully I see you tomorrow.